right into everything. Baneling's coming up, splashing into the tank. More infested Terrans coming out, and it looks like those Banelings aren't going to be able to get off the critical hits they need. Fungal's coming down, getting most of the Terran army. Still quite a few infestors on the field. Should really move these back. Oh, getting a few more infested Terrans out. Oh, quite a few now. We'll see if this is enough up here to clean up the rest of this Terran army. And it looks like Terran will be able to maintain that high ground, still streaming units in. This is kind of turning into a bit of an all-in play, even though Terran has a very strong economy. Both players floating quite a bit of minerals and gas. Zerg's problem right now is just being larva limited. He does have a macro hatch up in his main. Fourth on the way. Fourth will probably just be used to make more units. Siege tanks now attacking the natural. These infestors burrow finally completing. Going to the production tab, we have Lings. These will probably be turned into some Banelings, hopefully. But right now, Zerg is losing this war of attrition. Oh, very good. Using those infested Terrans to absorb some of those tank shots. Swarming in with the Lings. But Terran just being relentless. Now up 60 food over Red Thor. Or down 60 food, I'm sorry, from Red Thor. Just slow, incredibly aggressive push by Terran. And this macro hatch not being that productive, doesn't have a queen on it. Larva just sitting here, probably has forgotten to hotkey it in. Drone transfer coming from the main to the fourth, but this third not saturated yet. These gases not taken, floating a huge number of minerals for both players. Terran just continues to flood units in. 1-1 upgrades now done. Roach is now on the way, and a Spire for Zerg, so he's going to go for a bit of a tech switch, see if he can break this line. He just needs to basically have an economy. No drones here mining at the natural, so essentially Zerg is on just 2 bases right now compared to Terran, who is well saturated at his third. Now a fourth coming down. Quickly going to the income tab. 30 harvester difference between Terran and Zerg, and usually at this point in the game, Terran is up quite, or Zerg should be up quite a bit in harvester count, but that is not the case. Interesting composition of units. Roach, Ling, Infestor. Might see some Banelings here. Oh, firing off a few infested Terrans to absorb those initial tank blasts. Here come the Lings, swarming into the siege tanks. Roach is in from the back, going to engage. That's a lot of Marauders. Marauders Marines stimming in. High ground still owned by Terran. It's going to force this army back. Thankfully, Purplepeopleeater didn't lose too many infested Terrans, still has quite a few here. Didn't lose very many Roaches, but he is still behind. This 30 Harvester difference, Terran in the lead. Going to the production tab real quick. +2 now started for Terran, and Corruptors on the way. So we will probably see this morph into a Greater Spire here in a second. Broodlords could turn the tide in this battle, and there it goes. However, to have the resources, he's going to need a lot more gas dwellers for this. He needs to continue making Lings, because Broodlords are great, but they do need a supporting army, or else they will just get focused down by those Marines. Looks like we have a total of 7 Corruptors on the field. Greater Spire is going to take a little bit of time, now only about 25% complete. All of these hatcheries currently being injected on, making tons of larvae. So, Purplepeopleeater looking to hold out until his Broodlords finish. He has a few Roaches here. These Infestors almost with full energy. They'll be able to get off several Fungals, but Terran doing a really good job keeping spread out, doing this nice soft contain on this side of the map. Zerg, however, keeping control of this Naga, knowing that he can't let Terran swing around. Terran does not know about, I don't believe, does not know about this base down here. Hasn't scouted, doesn't know about the third. I guess I can assume that that's been taken. Conversely, looking at Purplepeopleeater's camera, Purplepeopleeater does know about this base over here. And this slow tank push is proving to be fairly effective. Purplepeopleeater does have his Greater Spire up. He's going to chase down that Viking. We'll see how many Broodlords he chooses to go ahead and morph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Broodlords. He's going to keep 3 of these Corruptors around. He doesn't have the minerals to continue morphing, but it would probably be a good idea, especially with Vikings, to keep a few corruptors around. Terran doing a really good job staying spread out. He learned his lesson from earlier from those fungals. Siege tanks probably should be sieged, but the Marine Marauder composition spread out very well, slowly pushing up with bunkers, has these missile turrets that's going to be really effective against the Broodlords, keeping their position back. But here come the Broodlords and Festers and Lings. Broodlords moving in, grabbing those tanks. Broodlords can basically just sit up here on the high ground. They do not have to engage directly. What's Red Thor's response to this going to be? From Red Thor's point of view, all he sees is just this leading edge of Broodlords coming in here. And here comes the Zerg army moving into position. Broodlords basically doing all of the work. These tanks aren't sieged, forcing Terran to retreat back. Purplepeopleeater now only down 20 in supply. Broodlords and Corruptors moving in. One Viking here is going to get cleaned up very easily by those few Corruptors. Broodlings coming down from the Broodlords. Terran needs to siege some of these tanks. Here comes the Zerg wave in. Zerglings coming up into the Terran army. And Fester's there. Getting off some good fungal growth. Most of Terran's army now in the yellow. And the Broodlords and Lings are able to just clean this up. Going to the unit counting station. Terran now losing most of his army, only 13 Marines down, 2 tanks. He's forced to build these Vikings, but tons of Corruptors on the field. 6 Broodlords, 8 Corruptors, and Festers still with plenty of energy, can continue to fungal, and this is not looking good for Red Thor. After having the advantage the entire game, just unable to give the killing blow. Purplepeopleeater able to take these extra bases that Terran didn't know about and basically overwhelm him. Now up 20 food, these roaches still alive, heading up into the base. That is a ton of SCVs, 2 pages of SCVs now, oversaturating this third. Saturated here on his fourth. Nothing mining here at the natural. Zerg's just going to move in here, doesn't even have to engage his planetary directly, can just use his Broodlords. Force all of these SCVs to repair. But a few key fungals are going to take care of most of these SCVs over here. Oh, still doing quite a bit of damage. Red Thor, are you going to choose to repair that or continue to mine? Red Thor now just making a small contingent, continuing to build out of all of his buildings. Here come the Infestors, hitting almost all of those SCVs. Oh my gosh! A lot of SCVs in the red now. Looking at the workers killed tab, 31 workers killed from Purplepeopleeater, only 15 for Red Thor, but that is going to be changing here very quickly. I don't know if this planetary fortress can go down just due to this one Broodlord, but we'll see here. Scanning, here comes some Marines, but that is some great positioning here by Zerg. Lots of Infestors. Alright, 6 Corruptors on the way, probably going to turn into some more Broodlords from Purplepeopleeater. Red Thor continuing just to build a ton of Vikings. He knows he needs to try to get air dominance, but at the same time, every Viking he builds means that his Marine and tank count will be just a little bit lower. Here comes the big push. Infested Terrans and Roaches trying to focus down this planetary. Lings coming around, hitting these SCVs. The planetary fortress will fall. Red Thor's army moving in for the counter. Fungal growths coming down. Infested Terrans, they don't cost anything. Corruptors, Broodlords moving in now. These tanks are not going to be able to hold. SCV's now running away in a last-ditch effort. Supply now 80 to 97. Purplepeopleeater losing quite a bit of his army, but on the number of hatcheries he has, he should be able to repop this fairly easily. He does have quite a bit of minerals in the bank, and he is mining fairly well off of his 3 bases still. Well, I should say 2 bases. Both players really not having much going on at their naturals. 3 starboards producing Vikings 3 at a time. Red Thor having to commit to this heavy air army, or else he will just be decimated by the Broodlords. Unit counting station, now we see 14 Marines, 4 tanks, 9 Vikings, and 40 SCVs. The worker count is even with the mules. this is even with the mules, this is a very similar story for both players economically. Spinecrawler is coming down here at the 4th. Needs to defend, obviously, his mining bases, the few that he has left. Errant units scattering the map in different locations for Purplepeopleeater. So it's quite a few minerals here he could be mining at his natural expansion. Maybe he doesn't realize that. Is mined out at his main. Terran now going ahead on his 4th. Tons of mules being dropped down. Quite a few SCVs. A 5th now being started down here at this lower location, and we are almost dead even in supply. We are